Hey everybody, my name is Brittany, and I started studying the Bible in April of 2017. And when I first started, I knew nothing about it. It was a lot of information, it was very overwhelming, even sometimes stressful. So I wanted to start a Bible for beginners study and just give you the basic overview of where everything is and what's going on, not really dive into any too detailed explanations. So last week we did Deuteronomy. No, Leviticus, I'm sorry. So this week we'll start on Numbers. So we are with Moses going out of Egypt on the journey to the Promised Land. And we're still at Mount Sinai, which we learned last week is where Moses got the Ten Commandments and all the rules and laws and such. And they're about to take off on their journey again for the Promised Land. And God asked Moses to do a census of all the people, which is what a lot of the first part of this book is about. And then God tells them how to set up camp around the tabernacle of the tent of meetings, if tribes had to be certain places. And there was a reason for all this. So as they were walking and traveling toward the Promised Land, you can picture God as this cloud that leads the way, and whenever he would stop, that's where they would stop and camp for the night. So he was always watching over them, always leading them. And there is a lot of rebellion in this book. The people get angry that all they have to eat is manna. It's I'm not even sure how to describe it, but it is brought up several times throughout the rest of the Bible. When God looks back at how ungrateful his people were and warning people not to get like that again. Sorry. Oh. You can find that in chapter 11. Many people were saying that they don't understand why they've left Egypt, because they left Egypt and now they're just stuck in the wilderness. And at least in Egypt they had food and all this. Even Moses' brother and sister, Aaron and Miriam, began to turn against him. And this angered God. They were very jealous of him because of the way that he had that special connection with God. God spoke through him. And God became so angry at the way that they were talking and treating their brother that he turned Miriam's skin leprous. And she was banished from the camp for 7 days. So they keep going to the Promised Land. And when they get close enough, Moses sends 12 spies to check out Canaan. Now, if you remember, the Canaanites are an evil group of people. They are scary, they're mean, everyone's afraid of them. And so they come back, and most of them are very scared. They see all kinds of crazy stuff. They see giants, they see whatever, and they didn't trust that God would be able to help them defeat the Canaanites. They thought it was just too much. And so the rebellion and the non-believing angered God so much that he declared that none of this generation of people would be able to enter the Promised Land. So they're on this journey for nothing now, because they've angered God so much. But their children will be allowed into it. And then God started killing people that were rebelling against Moses and Aaron. Miriam and Aaron both die, and God delivered the Canaanites into the Israelites' hands. So then he proves that, yeah, I can handle the Canaanites. I can make you strong enough to beat them. Just because they're scary people doesn't mean anything. But even after that, they complained about their circumstances and how hard it was. So the Israelites arrive in a city called Moab, where the king, I'm going to butcher this, I'm sure, Balak is scared of them because he's heard how God is with them, and he's heard what God has done with their army and how God has strengthened them to where they defeated the Canaanites. So he asked a man to put a curse on them, but God wouldn't let him. Every time he tried to speak, it wasn't a curse, it was a blessing. And he controlled his speech. But then the Israelites, they messed up again. The men started sleeping with Moabite women who would introduce them to new gods and idols and a new way of worship. And the men started listening to the women and worshiping other gods and idols and such like that. So the Lord killed 24,000 of them. You can find that in chapter 25, verse 9. So Numbers ends with the Israelites preparing to go into the promised land. They take another census, and God tells them how to divide the land and where each family should be inside the promised land. And by this time, it is now the new generation. The next book is Deuteronomy, and that is the last book of the Torah, and the new generation, and getting into the promised land. And we'll start that next week. I hope y'all have a great week. God bless.